weather out here on a summer afternoon on a Saturday. And I just wanted to talk about the Dallas Cowboys a little bit and this whole situation with Micah Parsons. Now, I made a mistake yesterday. I said that Micah Parsons is a top 5 pass rusher when in reality he's more of a top 7 pass rusher if you look at his sack numbers over his career. Still, he's a very good player. He is still an elite pass rusher, but I said that he does not deserve more than $40 million, right? And Micah Parsons to me is not worth $40 million a year, man. I even said I thought he was worth $35 to $38 million a year, and I have to say I was wrong there, man. Looking at Micah's numbers and the guys that are currently the top 5 highest paid pass rushers in the NFL, defensive ends really. He's not as good as them. He's not nowhere even close to being as good as Myles Garrett. So Myles Garrett's a way better pass rusher, and he's a way better run stuffer. So is Danielle Hunter, who's right after that. So is Max Crosby. Well, Max Crosby and Mike are probably about the same in pass rush, but Max Crosby destroys him in run defense. And then right after that is Nick Bosa. So Micah, I think, should still, I think he should get somewhere between 25 to 30 mil. Now that I've gone through and looked at the numbers and I've compared him to some of the other top paid pass defensive ends in the NFL, Micah Parsons should be honestly paid about 25 to $30 million a year. That's what I think. He should not get more money than Nick Bosa. He should not get more money than Max Crosby. He should not get more money than Danielle Hunter, and he sure should not get more money than Myles Garrett. So my opinion is because Micah's a liability in run defense. He's not good in run defense whatsoever. So if he's asking for too much money, the Dallas Cowboys just need to move on from him. They need to trade him, get as many picks as you can. Honestly, I would try and get another solid defensive end, another solid pass rusher, somebody that's better in the run defense. Because honestly, Fan Nation, Cowboys Nation, even without Micah Parsons, the Cowboys would still at bare minimum have a top 10, top 15 pass rush in the entire NFL. They would. They absolutely would. Mike Trades is asking me, what do you think is going to end up happening with Micah? Mike, I think that they're going to keep Micah. I think that this, I'm just talking about hypotheticals right now, but I think that they're going to keep Micah. I think what's going on right now, I feel like, is that Jerry Jones, I have a feeling he knows behind the scenes that this will keep the Cowboys, in the media, and that Micah Parsons is doing this because he's trying to pull a Dak Prescott. He's trying to, get as much money out of this team as possible, which I didn't like his statements that he made about the Dallas Cowboys. He's being kind of a walking contradiction, man. Kind of like what Mike McCarthy was or what Dak Prescott's been. He'll say one thing and then does the other, and I don't like that. So, honestly, if he's asking for more than $40 million a year, if he's asking, honestly, even for more than $35 million a year, I would just trade him, man. Trade him. Go get a one-tech defensive tackle that's really good in stopping the run, or possibly another solid pass-rushing defensive end and run stuffer, and just move on from Micah, man. Just move on from him. That's how I feel about him. I love Micah, but, man, you can't pay him. Jerry Jones has already gone out there and done something stupid. He went out there and paid Dak, which you guys know how I feel about that. That was probably the worst contract ever. And then he, of course, paid CeeDee Lamb. Now, CeeDee Lamb actually earned his money. I'm not mad about that one. But, Jerry Jones, he has to put, if this is not all just like a whole, media thing just to keep us talking about him. I'm a fan of the Cowboys, so I'm going to talk about them regardless of how popular they are. Jerry just needs to put his foot down, honestly. He needs to stop allowing these players just to get whatever they want. And that's the truth. Jerry just needs to stop with all this nonsense. You know, he needs to put his foot down and say, hey, we're not going to overpay these players anymore. And not going to, so if it has to start with Micah, so be it. So be it, man. Cowboys would still be fine. Our pass rush would still be top 10, top 15, even without him out there. And he doesn't really provide much for us in the run game anyway. So, it is what it is. Again, I don't want to trade Micah, but hey, man, if he is asking for too much money and he's saying all this stuff, you know, hey, man, I'm all for it. Now, this is just a situation, man. The problem with the Dallas Cowboys is this, people like to say the Cowboys are a bottom-tier franchise and all this stuff, and the truth of the matter is we're not, actually. If you look at regular season, right, the Dallas Cowboys since the year 2000 are tied for the 10th highest winning percentage in the regular season in all the NFL, which tells me Jerry and Stephen Jones, for the most part, do a pretty good job of, building rosters. They do a pretty good job of, getting good players. The problem in Dallas, and this has been a problem for years, going all the way back to the 1990s, is the culture. And that is Jerry Jones's fault, because Jerry Jones has allowed these players to get away with certain things over the years, that there's no real leadership in the organization. He allows these players to get away with stupid stuff. He overpays, and a lot of times Jerry Jones, because he's a businessman, he knows that certain players are going to sell more jerseys than others. He'll oftentimes overpay players more than what they're worth. For example, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, he really screwed up on this one. But Dak Prescott, who's honestly just a middle-of-the-pack quarterback that had a couple decent statistical years, he went out there and he paid Dak Prescott $60 million when he was nowhere even close to being a top 5 quarterback at all. He really isn't a top 10 quarterback either. He's a top 15, top 20 at best. Big example. Another example was DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence, while he was a good pass rusher and he was a solid run defender, DeMarcus Lawrence wasn't worth $21 million at that time he got paid, man. He was worth 14, 15 mil, but Jerry Jones went out there and overpaid him because he was a solid pass rusher. That's just how it goes. So Jerry Jones, over the years, man, has made a lot of mistakes when it's come to overpaying these players, and that's been part of the problem, man. It hasn't been the talent. The reason why the Cowboys haven't been to an NFC Championship game in 30 years is not because of the talent. Like I just said, we are top 10 in the entire NFL for winning percentage in the regular season. It has not been the talent. The problem is, one, we've had bad quarterback play in the playoffs. Tony Romo, whether it's been Troy Aikman towards the end of his career, Quincy Carter, Tony Romo, or Dak, overall the Cowboys really haven't had good quarterback play in the playoffs since 1995, the last year we won the Super Bowl. Because if you look at every playoff game the Dallas Cowboys have lost since 1995, last time we won the Super Bowl, or 96 technically, the quarterback has usually turned the ball over multiple times. Like Aikman, when we lost the Carolina Panthers in 1996 in that wild card game, he threw multiple interceptions, played terrible. 98, we lost the Cardinals, same thing. 99 against the Vikings, same thing. Then you go back to 2003 when we lost to Carolina, Quincy Carter played bad. 2006, that was one of the only years where I would say we didn't have horrible play. Romo actually played decent in that game, well enough for us to win. But again, Terry Glenn dropping the ball in the end zone, giving them a safety. Romo dropping the snap. 2007, Romo played terrible against the Giants, had a couple turnovers. 2009, we lost to Vikings. He had a couple fumbles in that game, a couple turnovers, bad quarterback play. 2014 is probably one of the only years in the last 30 years the Dallas Cowboys have had decent quarterback play in the playoffs and still lost. That was probably one of the only years. And maybe it's 2016, because I don't think Dak played horrible in 2016. He actually played decent in that game. And then 18, he was just average against the Rams. Then we lost that game because of the defense not being able to stop the run, really, in 2018. But 2021, bad quarterback play. 2022, horrible quarterback play. 2023, bad quarterback play. So you see the pattern. Most of the time, I would say at least 80% of the time, the reason why the Dallas Cowboys lose in the playoffs is usually because their quarterback is out there turning over the football multiple times. And when you do that in a game, whether you're the quarterback or not, you're not going to win a lot of playoff games. You're just not. You know, you have to protect the football in order to win in the playoffs. And the Cowboys quarterbacks, going all the way back to Troy Aikman in 1996, towards the end of his career, have not been able to do that on a consistent basis. And that's a big reason why we haven't been to the NFC Championship game since 1995. It's because of that. Crystal Balance LLC. I'm just hanging out. Just hanging out up here, talking about the Cowboys, man. Talking about why, the Micah trade, and, just hanging out, having a good time, talking about the Cowboys, team I love. But it is frustrating, man. Jerry Jones needs to just put his foot down. He's got to stop overpaying these players. He's got to stop overpaying the players more than what they're worth. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, man. And then, honestly, you look at the head coaches we've had over the years. Cowboys really haven't had a lot of great head coaches. I mean, Bill Parcells, I feel like, was a bit overrated. He was a good head coach and everything, but I think he's a bit overrated, honestly. He's a bit overrated, but, Jason Garrett was all right, but, yeah, so that's the reason why the Cowboys, haven't gone to the NFC Championship game in 25 years. Has not been because of the talent. It's been because of number one, bad quarterback play in the playoffs. Bad quarterback play in the playoffs, whether it's been Dak, whether it's been Tony at times, even it was Troy Aikman. I know people are going to get, crucify me for saying that, but Troy Aikman did not play good in the playoffs from 1996 to 1999. He played great in the playoffs from 1992 to 1995. That's why we won 3 Super Bowls. But it is what it is. Mike, I've been hearing that Dak has been looking horrible. I think Dak's looked a little bit better as of recent from what I've been seeing. He's actually thrown some good balls, but yeah, man, he was looking terrible out there. Like the first 2 weeks, man, Dak was looking bad. And honestly, Mike, I think Joe Milton has looked really good in camp. And honestly, man, I think he could compete with Dak Prescott. Now, I do think Dak throws a better 9 ball. I think he throws a better deep ball than Joe Milton does right now. So that's probably, going to help him in terms of keeping the job and the fact that he's making $60 million. Yeah, man, Joe Milton's looked good out there. I think if Dak ends up getting, not being able to play, if he ends up getting hurt, man, he's going to have a hard time. Especially if Joe Milton goes out there next weekend, actually, wow, and balls out. It's going to be undeniable, especially if he continues to develop. If he continues to develop and get better, man, it's going to be crazy. Jared Lewis, well, it's sure convenient to stop overplaying players when it comes to your best player. Yeah, well, I get that, man, but at the same time, you got to do it at one point. And Micah's just not worth $40 million, man. He's not. Micah Parsons is an elite pass rusher. I've said it. But he's not worth being paid more than Myles Garrett, dude. Myles Garrett is a way better run defender than him and a better pass rusher. He just is. Micah Parsons is an elite pass rusher. I've said it multiple times on my channel. But he is not an elite run defender. He's not even a good run defender, man. He's honestly pretty bad in run defense at times. And he quits in run defense. And when you do stuff like that, then you don't deserve to be the highest paid. I think Micah should be a top 7. Based on his pass rushing ability, he's a top 7 pass rusher in the NFL. If you look at what he's averaged since he's come into the league, it's been about 13 sacks. That puts him in the top 7, right? He's usually been around 6th or 7th every single year that he has been, in the league, right? But he's never been top 5, and he's never led the league in sacks. You want to know who led the league in sacks by this point in their career? That is a Hall of Famer. That was an elite pass rusher for the Dallas Cowboys. DeMarcus Ware. You want to compare DeMarcus Ware to what Micah Parsons did, man? Now, Micah Parsons has done some great things, but he's not DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus Ware, in his 4th year, had 20 sacks. And he did not get Defensive Player of the Year, which was honestly robbery. He should have won it. I know James Harrison got it that year, and he was very good, but DeMarcus Ware was way better than James Harrison in 2008. But because James Harrison played for the Steelers and they won the Super Bowl, you know. But, yeah. This is the same thing with Dak, man. Now, Micah has more of a case than what Dak has, because, man, Dak Prescott... Dude, no, Dak Prescott was nowhere even close to it. It's laughable that the Dallas Cowboys gave freaking Dak Prescott $60 million, man. It'd be pretty laughable to give Micah $40 million as well, but you can make the argument, well, he's an elite pass rusher. But, yeah, dude, they got to stop paying what the freaking market says to pay him. No. Micah needs to be paid on what he provides on the field. And what he provides on the field is good pass rush. What he provides on the field is athleticism. He's not a good run defender. He's just not. And, you know, I like Micah. I'm a fan of Micah. I do think he should get paid, but he should not be getting paid more than Myles Garrett. Nowhere even close. To me, $30 million, man. People say that's crazy. It's not. Because look who's gotten paid. He's not better than Nick Bosa. He's not better than a better overall player than Max Crosby. He's not better than Danielle Hunter, and he's definitely not better than Myles. So he put him at 5, put him at $30 million. That would put him as the 5th highest paid defensive end, because he's not really a defensive end in the entire NFL, man. That's what, you know, that would honestly be a pretty fair deal. If he took $30 million, he'd be number 5 in the NFL right now in terms of defensive ends. And I think for Micah, that would be a fair deal. It'd be a fair deal. $30 million for him would be fair. That would put him right below Joey Bosa, or did I say Joey Bosa? Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, Danielle Hunter, and Myles. That's where he needs to be. And if he does ask for too much, the Cowboys just need to trade him and get some picks. They need to trade him, get another solid defensive end, or a one-tech defensive tackle, because we're still weak. Honestly, I'd probably take a really good one-tech in that trade than I would a defensive end. Why did I say that? Because like I said, the Dallas Cowboys are still going to have a top 10, top 15 pass rush even without Micah Parsons, as long as they don't get a ton of injuries, knock on wood. They will. The Cowboys will still be in the top 10 to top 15 even without Micah. So I think it would be better for them to trade for like a really good one-tech. That's what I think. But yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to worry about it. I still feel like, you know, I still feel like Jerry Jones is going to pay him, regardless of what I think. Jerry Jones is going to pay him. You know, it honestly would be stupid for Micah Parsons to sit out, because the Cowboys, honestly, you know, they don't have to trade him, because they can franchise tag him the next 2 years, and he could be on the roster the next, like, 3 years. So Micah can complain and say all this crap all he wants, but, man, you know how much money he's going to have to pay if he misses games and all this stuff? Dude, he's going to be broke if he does that. So, you know, and if that's what it takes, man, hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Play hardball, Jerry Jones. What's up, Hoodlum? How you doing, man? What's going on with you today? Just talking about this Micah Parsons nonsense. You know, this freaking, you know, everybody. Well, Hoodlum, I'm the same age as you, brother, and I feel the same way. Yeah, and it has nothing to do with talent, Hoodlum. You know, Hoodlum, we had so many good teams over the years. I was just talking about it. But, man, when you get bad quarterback play in the playoffs, and when you get a culture, you know, that's built like the Dallas Cowboys are right now, where all these players are super spoiled and entitled and, you know, and they slack off, it's hard to win a championship. We have a quarterback that's turning the ball over multiple times in the playoff. It's hard to win, man. It's hard to win. Cowboys haven't won not because of lack of talent. It's culture. Yeah, man, and Jerry is to blame for that. You know, I've defended Jerry Jones, but Jerry Jones is to blame for this culture, dude. He absolutely is 100%, because he allows these players to get away with this nonsense. He does create that type of environment, and you cannot deny that, you know. So Jerry Jones does deserve blame for that, 100%. Yeah, man. Paying Dak, was just terrible. Yeah, exactly, dude. These guys act like that they're, God's gift to the world. I call Dak, I make a joke sometimes about, some of Dak's fan base. The fan base, man, they treat him like he's God or something like that. That's why I call him Dacus Christ sometimes, is because literally his followers treat him like that. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, man. Yeah, they're spoiled. Jerry and Stephen Jones, as much as, I criticize them for making stupid decisions, they actually do a pretty good job building a roster. When you're top 10 in the regular season in win percentage since the year 2000, they're doing something right. The problem is not the talent, and I think most people, even Cowboy haters, understand this. The problem with the Dallas Cowboys is not the talent, it's the culture. And it's not only just the culture, it's the quarterback play in the playoffs. We've gotten consistent bad quarterback pay in the playoffs, man. Do I think they'll pay Pickens? I think it depends on how this season goes. I think if he doesn't play as good, they'll let him walk. I think if he has a really good year, maybe. With considering that, if they're going to keep Dak Prescott, or even if they move on from Dak, and they want to draft a young quarterback, or maybe make Joe Milton if they like him, it'd be good to set those the next generation up with another good receiver. So Pickens, I think that they should pay Pickens, as long as Pickens doesn't demand the bank. Like if Pickens is trying to get like top 5 money, I wouldn't pay him. But he's definitely going to want some money. But I think if he plays good, you got to consider, because, especially if you're paying Dak, man, yeah. I don't know. I just don't buy all the shoddy bull. Yeah, man. I can't. Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know yet either, man. I made a video months ago saying that Shoddy would be the worst hire since Dave Campo. I'm technically not wrong about that yet. I hope I'm wrong about that. I don't want to be right about that at all. I want to come on here and make a video, saying I was wrong about Brian Schottenheimer in that way, but I can't say that yet because I haven't actually seen him coach. I like some of the stuff he's doing in terms of, making these players run after like getting into fights and stuff like that, but I don't know, man. The whole like those guys riding the horse and stuff, that was dumb. That was just. I get Shoddy wants to create a fun practice environment. I get that, loosen up. I get that. That's cool, but it's just kind of weird. I was like, that was weird, man. What's the realist? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'd say about 2 years at least. Yeah, hoodlum. It's like Gerard Johnson said. He said that in a video. I remember him saying that in a video back in like 2020. It's because Jerry does treat these players like family. That's his problem, man. That's Jerry's problem. The NFL's a business. The NFL is not a mom and pop organization. It's a business. And it's obvious that Jerry does do that because we've held on to players for way too long over the years that, honestly, we should have let go of. Recently, that was Tyron Smith. I love Tyron Smith. Great player. Probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. The Cowboys held on to him too long. They should have moved on from him years ago. Dude, he didn't even play a full season, and like for the after 2015, he didn't play like a full season for the rest of his career until retiring this last year. Should have moved on from him years ago. Sean Lee, love Sean Lee, but he couldn't stay healthy. We should have moved on from him way sooner than we did. Jason Garrett, man. I don't think Jason Garrett, I was very critical of Jason Garrett when he was here. But overall, I don't think Jason Garrett was a bad coach, looking back now. But Jerry Jones should have moved on from him after that 2015 season when we went, 1-11 without Romo. That was, the time to move on from Jason Garrett and get somebody that could help, Tony. But then again, Tony probably could have done something in... Honestly, even with Jason Garrett, I think Tony Romo could have at least taken us to the NFC Championship game in 2016. Possibly even the Super Bowl, man. I think Tony would have taken us to the Super Bowl in 2016, man. Man, I can't believe we should have put Romo back in. When I know people are saying stick with the hot hand, we should have just put Romo in, man. Romo was at his peak in 2016, man. And that's the thing. How come Tony Romo got better with his career? Because he did. Romo got way better every year in his career. And Dak Prescott almost seems to either regress or just stay the same. I don't understand that. Yeah, that was Jason Garrett. To be honest with you, Hoodlum, I'm a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan, so I watch Jason Garrett a lot. Jason Garrett's got a high football knowledge of the game. Honestly, I really like. I've grown to like Jason Garrett a lot more now that he's like a color commentator. I think he does an excellent job, man. He found his calling. He knows. I know a lot of people don't talk about that. A lot of people talk about Romo, but Jason Garrett's pretty good as a commentator. He knows his stuff. And Jason Garrett, I don't think was too bad. I agree. He was just too nice. That was his problem. But Jason Garrett could light a fire in those players. One thing I can say about Jason Garrett is Jason Garrett definitely knew how to motivate those players. I think he did. Those players did a better job facing adversity than they did with Mike McCarthy. I said that because you just asked me. No, I did not like Mike McCarthy. I think Mike McCarthy was a waste of time for the Dallas Cowboys. Jason Garrett had to come in and kind of build a team of his own, right? When he left here in 2019, the Dallas Cowboys were already a playoff team, Hoodlum. We had just won a playoff game in 2018 against Seattle. Mike McCarthy was brought into the Cowboys to help them take us to the championship game or a Super Bowl. And he did not do that. He won one playoff game against a bad team. Jason Garrett did way more in his career than Mike McCarthy could have ever dreamed of, with less talent, by the way. So, Milton has been looking good. Yeah, man, I think Milton's been looking good. Oh, dude, I don't even... I could see us being like 5-12. I'm enjoying the engagement in the questions, man. If you want to I'm just doing this, kind of give my thoughts and opinions and just chat with you guys, really. But yeah, man. I could see us being as bad as 5-12, or 4-13. I could see us being that bad if we have a ton of injuries and stuff like that. But I could see us winning 10 or 11 games. I really could. I mean, this is a talented team, Hoodlum. It's not like our team is like garbage. We have a lot of talent on this team. Like I just said, the Cowboys are still a top 10 to top 15 pass rush group, even without Micah Parsons. So, I mean, this team is pretty talented, man. It's not like that this team, completely sucks without Micah. It'll still be solid even if he's not there. So I could see us being really bad if we have a lot of injuries, if Dak especially, and a lot of it, Hoodlum, is going to go back to Dak. If Dak is playing like he did last year, we could be 5-12. We could be really, really bad. But if Dak plays decent, we could have probably 10 or 11 wins. I really think so. Even though our schedule's tough, I think we could do it. Absolutely. I think it will be effective. And what I really like so far, from what I've seen in training camp, that a lot of people haven't talked about is the use of Kevontae Turpin. Mike McCarthy really didn't use Kevontae Turpin all that much in his offense. The way that Shoddy's been using Kevontae Turpin, I've actually liked it. I actually have liked it because we haven't used Kevontae Turpin as much in the actual offense, and I feel like that Shoddy's actually used him a lot more in training camp. So I like that. I think that Shoddy's done a good job. Yeah, dude. Like I said, there's a reason why I say we need to trade for a one tech. Because I'm reading you that as I'm talking. Mozzie Smith, man, he's gonna get beat out by Jay Toya eventually. I think he's going to, unless Mozzie Smith gets a whole lot better. He's gonna get beat out by Jay Toya. And I'll say this: I was wrong about Mozzie, man. I thought Mozzie was gonna be a good player for us, and he just hasn't been, man. He's been honestly. Yeah, he's been a disappointment out there. That's for sure. But yeah, I could see us. It's really, Hoodlum. It's all going to go back to how Dak Prescott plays this year. Outside of course, injuries and stuff like that, you know what I mean? It's all going to go back to how Dak Prescott plays. If Dak Prescott goes out there and he plays, bad like he did in 22 and 24, Cowboys are going to be bad this year. But if he plays decent, then Cowboys have a chance. I don't think the Cowboys are a Super Bowl contender, if I'm being honest, because right now at corner, man, we're beat up and hurt like bad, really bad. We have like we're just beat up and hurt there. Cowboys can't get any more injuries on the corner side of the ball because they're going to be screwed if they do. And then we're still weak at one tech. You know, I mean, Jay Toya, I think, is a solid rotational piece, but he's not a true starter. And Mozzie Smith, we just talked about, he's a bust. he's a bust. Short and sweet. He's a bust. He didn't work out for us. It is what it is. I think this team's talented. I think that they're a playoff caliber team. That's how I feel. I think, you know, if they make the playoffs, they could win a game depending on who they play. But in terms of getting into the NFC Championship game and Super Bowl, I don't think we'll do it. And the reason why is because of Dak. Dak, to me, is not good. He plays bad enough on a consistent level against the better secondaries in the NFL that we would have to play deep, you know, in the divisional round, that it would be very hard for us to go to the NFC Championship game, especially when he's going out there and he's choking, throwing interceptions, and all that sort of stuff. It's going to be hard to make it to a Super Bowl when he's doing stuff like that. Yeah, they're probably going to – yeah, man, I agree. Because even the defensive tackles we do have – and what's up, Stingray? And by the way, I didn't say this to you. What's up, Stingray X Factor, man? How you doing? Sorry, I got talking a little bit. Hope you're having a good day, brother. I think that they're going to rely – yeah, I agree, man. Because even the defensive tackles that we have, the three techs, Osa and Solomon Thomas, they're good at getting after the quarterback. But Osa, honestly, is kind of just mediocre in run defense. And then Solomon Thomas is horrible in run defense. So, yeah, man, they're definitely going to have to rely on guys like Maris Leafau, DeMarvion Overshown when he comes back, and Kenneth Murray to get the job done. And Shamar James, too. I can see why they drafted him, man. I wasn't a big fan of Shamar James at first, but then I saw his film, and he's got a lot of speed, man. He's a young guy, so yeah. Yeah, I think Osa's a little bit overpaid, but Osa to me is solid. I think Osa Odighizuwa is a solid player. He's not like great. Like, I don't think Osa Odighizuwa is like a great player, but I think he's an average, you know, 3-tech defensive tackle starter. He's for what we're used to seeing. I mean, that's pretty good, you know. Like, I'll be honest, but I'm glad they got it done. What I liked about the Osa deal is Osa he wasn't complaining and doing all this stuff. You know, the Cowboys they did their job. They went into negotiations and it went smoothly. So, you know, a lot of people may not like us that we paid Osa, but you know, but honestly, I like Osa. I think Osa was a bit overpaid, but at the same time, like, that's, you know, is what it is. But, you know, he could also get better too, because he's a young guy, 26, so he's got a chance out there. Yeah. Dang, dude. Ugh. Some bug over there. Yeah, dude, I agree. Dude, posting that kind of stuff about the team and things, that really made me mad. That really disappointed me for Micah, man. Yeah, that was some snake stuff, dude. Like, that's kind of, you know, and I was a big Micah fan, dude. Like, Micah was honestly one of my favorite players on the team, but man, I hate to say this too, but Micah Parsons, based on what I've seen the last couple of years in his personality, he does seem like the type of player that if we give him big money, he's just going to not show up. He's just going to be lazy and disappear. I hate to say that about the guy. I don't know him personally, but just based off his actions and some of the stuff that he said and done in the past, he totally strikes me as a type of guy that if we give him big money, he's just going to be lazy. And, you know, because, I mean, there's been a few YouTubers chopping it with 2 times. I know you're on his channel too, has showed the film a few times of Micah, of him quitting on plays. And he's not even making the $40 million right now. Could you imagine if we gave him like $40+ million? Because I've heard he wants 46, which is crazy to me. Could you imagine if we gave him that type of money? And then he's doing that. You think it's bad now, and he's not getting paid that kind of money, and he quits on plays, especially in the run defense? Could you imagine if we gave him the big money and he starts doing that type of stuff? That's just something to consider. He does strike me as a person that if we paid him big money, he would do that. I hate to say that about him because I do like Micah a lot, but it seems like he would do that. I'm being honest with you. Yeah, man, it did. It absolutely rubbed me the wrong way too. He's pulling a Dak Prescott on the Cowboys 100%. Dak did the same thing. Last year he said it's not about the money, and then he proceeds to demand to be the highest paid. Even in his first contract go around, man. Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones and the Cowboys offered him a 5-year, $30 million to $33 million a year deal, which was a top 10 deal at the time, which is honestly pretty much more than what Dak deserved, because Dak was only a top 15 quarterback at best at that time. And he demanded to be paid top 3 money. And he had not earned it. And you want to know what's crazy too? Everybody that thinks Dak Prescott is this great elite quarterback, do you know that Dak Prescott has only thrown for 25 touchdown passes in a season 3 times? And 25 touchdown passes is not that impressive. That's like a slightly above average quarterback. He's only done it 3 times in his entire career. 2019, he did it, which was the year that, we played a lot of those bad teams. And even that year when he did it, whenever we had to play a good team outside of Minnesota, he played like crap. 2021, 2023. He's never thrown for more than 25 touchdowns in a season outside of those 3 years, 19, 21, 23. Yeah, and he said that, and dude, he said we effing suck, and he was part of the reason why we were effing sucking. And then Cooper Rush came in and almost won us the game. Honestly, man, I think if we started Cooper Rush it's not 16 games anymore, it's 17 games. I honestly feel if the Dallas Cowboys had started Cooper Rush last year, all 17 games, let's say Dak had gotten hurt or something and he had to miss the whole year against the Browns, right? I think we would have won 9 games at least, possibly even 10 games if we had honestly kept Cooper Rush out there. I've said it multiple times here on my channel. What's up with you, Sean? How's it going? Just talking about the Cowboys, mostly just talking about random stuff, just Cowboy talk, why we haven't been to a championship in 30 years, why we haven't, Micah Parsons and his contract, a little bit about Dak, a little bit about Jerry Jones and the culture, just random stuff. Yeah, Dak does effing suck. He does. What's up, Rogue X? What's going on, man? Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, I agree, Sean. That's what we were talking about. We haven't had good even Troy Aikman from 1996 to 1999, you look at every playoff game we lost from 1996 to 1999, and Troy Aikman was bad in those playoff games. He really was, man. He threw like multiple interceptions. And shout out to Big Country. Big Country was actually the first one to point that out. Because he was talking about that, and then I went back and looked at the stat sheets from those playoff losses, and Big Country was 100% right, man. And I didn't realize how right he was. He was really right. Like, it was almost, there was like 2 or 3 years where we actually had some decent play, like 14, 16, and like 18 and like 06. But other than that, and those weren't even, 14 was a great performance, but even those ones were just kind of, were honestly just kind of mediocre. So, shout out to him, but he was really right, man. If you look back, the Cowboys, every playoff game we've lost outside of maybe that Green Bay game in 2014, we've had multiple turnovers. The quarterbacks played bad. So, yeah, man. So it is what it is. Agree, and that's what I was talking about, and that's where I blame Jerry Jones, Sean, is because he's created this culture that allows these players to get away with certain stuff. He's also overpaid a lot of players more than what they're worth. Oh yeah, dude, Tony Romo was way better than Dak. It's not even close. Not even close, bro. We seen Tony Romo turn like average receivers into like very good receivers. Look at Laurent Robinson. Laurent Robinson did nothing in his entire career except for when he played with the Dallas Cowboys that 1 year with Tony Romo. Has Dak Prescott ever elevated a receiver? No, never. Tony Romo made receivers way better. After they left him, they didn't do anything. What did Miles Austin do after? As much as I love Miles Austin, what did he do after he left Tony Romo and the Cowboys? He didn't do nothing after that. Yeah. So, yeah, dude. I mean, that's what I'm saying, Hoodlum. Micah really has no business saying that because the Cowboys really they can hold on. They hold his rights for the next 3 years. They have this year, then they can franchise tag him, and they can do it again. So he's stuck here in Dallas unless we trade him for the next 3 years. So he's really got no room to negotiate. Cowboys got him in a bind on that one. Yeah, man. But Tony Romo was, oh, dude, don't even get me started on that. Don't even get me started on freaking Dak choking in the playoffs, man. I mean, you know, Romo choked in the playoffs as well, but man, Tony Romo, his last year in the playoffs, 2014, that was the only year the Cowboys got great quarterback play in the playoffs since we last won the Super Bowl. And if you don't believe me, you want to know what Romo's stats were when we lost to the Packers in the 2014 divisional round, the Dez catch game? 15 for 19, 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, no pick, and I believe his no picks or turnovers, and I believe his rating was like almost perfect. He had almost that's probably the only year the Cowboys have had since we last won the Super Bowl where we lost in the playoffs and actually had good quarterback play. Was that 2014 playoff loss? That's like the only year we've had great quarterback play and still lost. Other than that, we've always had bad quarterback play. Look it up. Romo was amazing in 2014, dude. Like, you know, everybody talks about Dak Prescott's runner-up MVP year. Meanwhile, he went out there and he, you know, pooped his pants in the playoffs. Romo kind of got robbed in 2014 of the MVP award. Do y'all remember that? He got 3 votes. And he played good in the playoffs in 2014. Romo was on fire in the playoffs in 2014, man. It was good against the Lions. It was good against the Packers, even though we lost that game. Romo was on fire in the playoffs in 2014. Dak was he was horrible. Yeah, like his stats look better, Hoodlum, in that game than what they were because we were losing by like 4 touchdowns by halftime, you know. Oh, dude, Dak's had way more help than Tony Romo. You kidding me, man? Dak Prescott's literally had 2 defenses in the last 3 years that's led the NFL in turnovers or takeaways. And he's had some of the best pass rushing defenses ever. I mean, Romo did have a good pass rushing defense early in his career. Like, he did have DeMarcus Ware and Anthony Spencer and Greg Ellis and those guys, to be fair. But, man, I don't think Romo only had like 2 teams in his entire career that there's 3 actually, that were good enough to make it to a Super Bowl. I think that 2007 squad was good enough to make it to a Super Bowl. They just caught the Giants at a bad time. I think that 2014 team was good enough to make it to the Super Bowl. And their defense, and that defense was nowhere even close to being as good as the Dan Quinn defenses that Dak's had, or even the Rod Marinelli defenses that Dak's had, because that was Rod Marinelli's first year, and he didn't have the talent at that time that he had later on. Receivers-wise, I mean, we had some good receivers back in 2014, but anyways, and then 2016 is the only other year. So 3 years Romo's had. Dak's had so many years, man. 2016, he had a team that was good enough to go to the Super Bowl. 2021, I feel like he could have. 2022, he definitely could have gone to the probably the NFC Championship game that year. And 2023, man, he's had so many teams over the years that have been good. Dak has always had a playoff caliber team, Sean. There's never been a year in Dak Prescott's career where he's not had a playoff caliber team. Whereas Tony Romo a lot of times carried our bad teams to 8-8. He really did. Because you saw what happened when Romo missed games and got hurt. We lost. And we didn't just lose. We got destroyed in games. Do you remember that? Whenever Romo got hurt, like, and he missed games, outside of, I think, the year that we had John Kitna, we got destroyed in games. We were, like, absolutely horrible. Horrible in games. Where with Dak Prescott, I mean, you do realize that the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott's missed 25 games in the last 5 years. The Dallas Cowboys record in the 25 games that Dak Prescott has missed is 13-12. And we haven't had like a Pro Bowl level, I guess we did have Andy Dalton, but we haven't had like a real great quarterback out there, playing for him. Because, as much as I like Cooper Rush is not a great quarterback. Okay, he's a good backup, but he's not a great quarterback. And he still outplayed Dak Prescott, right? So, if we have a winning record without Dak Prescott, 13-12, by the way, then what does, he really doesn't help us that much. He just doesn't. I agree, Sean. I agree. I think if, at the very least, we would have made it to the NFC Championship game, for sure. If Romo had played in 2016, we would have definitely made it to the championship. Because he had played Green Bay multiple times, and that was his time. He got robbed in 2014. He really did. And he had a better defense in 2016 than he had in 2014. If he would have won, yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Dak have no excuses. Jaden Daniels went. Yeah, dude. I mean, the Washington Commanders didn't have that great of a team last year. They had a playoff caliber team. I figured they would do what they did in the regular season. They actually exceeded my expectations. But I did say that Washington had a chance to be a playoff caliber team last year. I really knew that because they had Dan Quinn and because their schedule was going to be easier. But they didn't have a great team. No, they had a decent team, but nowhere even close. Our teams the last 3 years have been better than that. Way better. There is no excuses, man. Any Dak fan that tries to make excuses, there is no excuses. Dak's a choker. He's an average quarterback that's been paid as if he's elite. It is what it is. Yeah, man, your Bears are good. Yeah, Dylan Holmes, what's up? My Bears take on your Cowboys week 3, and yeah, I think it'd be a tough game, man. You guys got a good team this year, man. You guys got some talent. Plus, you got to go against your old head coach, so you may have an advantage on that one. But we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough being a younger Cowboys fan like myself. Hoodlum. In our late 20s now. We've never seen a championship. I know some of you older fans that watch my channel, you've gotten to see the success. So, it's tough. I don't know how old you are, Dylan Holmes, but I know that the Bears haven't been the greatest in a long time. Your quarterback, though, Jim McMahon, went to high school in my state here in Utah. So, I do know about him. I actually like Jim McMahon, though, by the way. I think Jim McMahon's a cool dude. Seems like a chill dude. Yeah, dude, exactly. So we've never gotten to see the Cowboys win a championship. There's been a few teams, like I said. In my lifetime, the teams I feel like that were good enough to make it to a championship game in the Super Bowl have been the 2007 squad, the 2014 squad, the 16 squad, the 21 and 22 and 23 squads. Those have been like the 6 teams I feel like that have been good enough to make it. Have been those squads. So yeah, dude, it's rough. It's rough being a Cowboys fan. Like, you can't really call anybody, born after, I would say, 1985, bandwagon Cowboys fan, because it's not like, because the Cowboys, while they've been good, like I said, top 10 winning percentage in the regular season since 2000. We haven't won a lot in the playoffs. We've been a decent regular season team for the most part. which is why I say Jerry and Stephen Jones do a pretty decent job of drafting and building rosters. But we haven't been successful in the playoffs. We're like 5-13 in the playoffs since 1996, which is atrocious. But like 10 of those 13 playoff losses, right? I think in like 9 or 10 of those 13 playoff losses, we've had horrible quarterback play. We've only had great quarterback play in one of those 13 playoff losses. So that means that almost, 70 to 80+% of the time we've lost has been due to bad quarterback play every year. That's what it's been. And until we get a quarterback that can show up in the big time, then we're not going to get past the divisional round. And it's not like we need to go out there and get a quarterback that's amazing in the playoffs, but can we get a quarterback to go out there and just not turn the football over? Can we get a quarterback that just does the things he's got to do to win the game? That's all I'm asking. I'm not even asking Dak to go out there and, like, in the playoffs and do amazing. Just do your job, man. Don't go out there and turn the ball over 2 or 3 times a game. It's not that hard. Just don't make stupid decisions. Don't make risky decisions unless you absolutely have to. Play conservative. If Dak had done that back in 2022 against the 49ers, the Cowboys would have made it to the NFC Championship game. The curse would have been broken. We would have done it before the Lions, and that was the year we should have. We should have beaten it. We should have broken the curse in 2022. But Dak Prescott, instead of throwing the ball away, and instead of being smart with the football, he had 2 turnovers. One of them was in the red zone, which took away an easy field goal, in which the 49ers got a field goal themselves by driving down the field before halftime. And the other one was inside our own 20, gave the 49ers another field goal. So that took away 6. So we scored, 12 points? So Dak throwing that interception took away 3 points right there. We would have been up in that. We would have had 15 points right there. And then if you take away him throwing an interception inside the 20, which gave the 49ers a field goal, along with the interception that led to a field goal that we had in the red zone, and they scored 19 points, right? That puts them at 13. If Dak Prescott does not throw those 2 interceptions in the 2022 divisional round, the Dallas Cowboys make it to the NFC Championship game in 2022. It's not, what if they would have. I know in my heart they would have. Absolutely would have. Dude, goes back to his fan base. Yeah, exactly, Hoodlum. It's not like Dak has to go out there in the playoffs and be anything amazing. The reason why the 49ers won is because Brock Purdy didn't do anything against the Cowboys. All he did was just not turn the ball over. All the 49ers got like 1 touchdown and a bunch of field goals, just like the Cowboys did. All he had to do was not turn over the football, and he couldn't even do that. Yeah, dude, I don't like the Packers any more than you do, Dylan Holmes. And, yeah. I don't know, man. I think the Bears are a playoff caliber team. Honestly, I think the Bears could make the playoffs this year. You do play in a tough division, though, just like my Cowboys, though. So we'll see. But I think you guys could make it, man. You guys got a good team, too. Yeah, that Green Bay playoff game, man, was horrible. And I had a feeling we were going to lose that game. I did. The reason why I was worried, Hoodlum, is because the Cowboys stopped running the football. Green Bay had a horrible run defense that year. We really didn't run the football that great that year because I told you, Mike McCarthy doesn't know how to run the football. And this year, last year really proved that. Number 1, that was the biggest reason. And number 2, Green Bay had a top 10 pass defense secondary, which scared me because Dak doesn't do well against those. So I was like, I was being optimistic and hoping Dak would prove me wrong because he had a good year. But, man, he played terrible in that game. JB, what's up, man? Congrats on getting 1,000 subs, man. That puts you in the top 8.8%. I said 10% on your channel just because, it's a little bit easier. But, man, that's awesome. Congratulations to JB for getting 1,000 subscribers, man. That's huge. I'm kind of close to that. I'm like at like 750 something. If I get to 1,000, like that'd be great. If I don't, I don't really care. I actually like my channel, man. I just like the small community you got just to talk with you guys, that are real fans like myself. And, I don't need to get like super famous, but dude, getting 1,000 subs is big. I mean, that's hard to do. Mike McCarthy, yeah, man, he loved to throw that clipboard. He also loved to throw the football. I'll say that. That's fair. Bears going 8-9. I could see that. I think you'll definitely improve from what you were last year. Yeah, man. If I do, it's great. And if I don't, I'm not like tripping about it. I like it. It's cool. If I get to 1,000 subs, that'd be great. I just do the channel for fun, man. I just love the Cowboys, even though they do a lot of stupid stuff like overpaying certain players. Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude, he was so, he loved running that jet sweep. He loved running the jet sweep, but then again, yeah, man. Mike McCarthy, I feel like, would have had more success if he had a better quarterback, though, too. And in Big Mike's defense, he actually did his job in 2022. The one year that Mike McCarthy actually did a good job in Dallas was 2022. He did. Mike McCarthy did a good job in 2022. He did. He did a good job that year. The only person that sucked, and that's continually sucked, was Dak. Should have just kept Cooper out there, but yeah, it is what it is. Oh, Dylan, the first time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I was really depressed. I remember I was in college at that time. Man, oh man, I was super depressed. And the second time, I was depressed. Mike McCarthy, well, yeah, JB, he sure did lie about running the football, didn't he? Because guess what? He didn't even run the football this year until like the end of the year when freaking, what's his name? The season was over. He didn't even run the ball. I said it in Game 5, even for Dak Prescott. You want to have any success, run the football. When we won that game against the Steelers, I'm like, why is Mike McCarthy not running the football? Besides Dak Prescott playing really bad, Mike McCarthy not running the football and not using his personnel correctly was a big reason why the Cowboys went 7-10. Because if we would have ran the football, we would have won a lot more games. I'm telling you. And it's not like Rico Dowdle was a great back. I think he's a solid back. But we just didn't run the football. We were so pass happy, even with Cooper Rush. It was like, why are we doing this? It's just... So he definitely needed to go. I'm glad that Mike McCarthy's gone. And I do think Schottenheimer will run the football a lot more. I've seen it in camp. I do think he'll run the football a lot more. I do think we're going to see a lot more of Kevontae Turpin than we have in the past. I think Kevontae Turpin is going to be utilized as a weapon a lot more. So, yeah, dude. And I agree, Hoodlum, because Micah was a lot different. Do you remember when he first came into the NFL? He was very outspoken. He would call certain stuff out. And, he was just, he was about his business and stuff. He was very likable. Micah was very likable when he first came in his first 2 years. But ever since 2023, when he got that podcast, his personality changed. And he started saying a lot of stuff that, that honestly pissed me off. And honestly, I see former, Cowboy players... Yeah, Micah is pretty easy to influence, man. I hate to say it, like I said. I think he's the type of guy that, you pay him and he's not going to perform. Hate to say that, but it just kind of, at this point, it seems like it. Yeah, man. Yeah, Micah has, JB, I mean, Micah hasn't been as likable the last couple of years. I'll say that. Ever since 2023, got that podcast and stuff, he's been less likable. He's said a lot more stupid stuff and been less likable. I still like him, but at the same time, I had a lot more respect for him before that. Yeah, exactly, Hoodlum. That's what I'm saying. Before that, seemed like he was just about football, working hard, and winning. And then he got in that stupid podcast, and ever since then, man, it's just... I think Micah's allowed not that he's allowed the fame and the glory to get to his head. I 100% agree with that. And you can tell. Dude, that'd be a great, oh my goodness. Could you imagine if we traded Micah for Myles Garrett? Oh my gosh. Oh, that would be a great trade, but that's not going to happen. The Browns, they're not a good organization, but they're smart enough to understand that, Micah's not as good as Myles. He's just not. And I really did not like what Micah had to say on his social media. To me, it was childish. It was childish. It was childish, and he's not the only one of those players that do stuff like that. But dude, he's just childish. Yeah, Micah's nowhere even close to being on Myles Garrett level, JB. If I were Jerry Jones, I said 35 to 38 million for Micah. But to be honest, man, after looking at the guys who are getting paid in that $35 million a year bracket, Micah's just not as good as them. Like, would you, JB, let me ask you this. Do you think Micah is better than, I think the first answer will for sure be a no, you've already said it, Myles Garrett. Do you think he's better than Danielle Hunter? Do you think that he's better? Because I thought 35 to 38 JB at first too, but then I looked at who was in that top 5, and I don't even think Micah should get that. Here's why. The second highest paid pass defensive end behind Micah is Danielle Hunter. I don't think Micah's better than Danielle Hunter. Third highest is Max Crosby. I think he and Micah are pretty much the same when it comes to rushing the passer, but you can't tell me that Micah's better than Max Crosby in run defense. Max Crosby is way better than Micah in his run defense. And then after Max Crosby, guess who it is? 34. He does not even making 35. He's making 34. You know who it is? It's Nick Bosa. Now, is Micah Parsons better than Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, Danielle Hunter, and Myles Garrett? To me, he's not. If you factor in his ability to stop the run, he's not better than any of those players. So for that reason, I thought 35 to 38 was fair, but after looking at those contracts, I would probably put Micah around $30 million. Because after that, I think Brian Burns of the Giants is at like $28.8 million. He's the 5th highest paid right now. I'd have to argue, I do think Micah's better than Brian Burns. Brian Burns for the Giants is pretty good, but I do think Micah Parsons is better than him. I do think Micah Parsons is better than Brian Burns. Definitely at rushing the passer. I don't know how good of a run stuffer Brian Burns is, but Micah's a better pass rusher. So if you factor that in, Micah Parsons should not even get $35 million, Fan Nation. He should, and honestly, man, a more than fair deal, JB. You know what's crazy? A more than fair deal for Micah. If Micah said he did what he said, if he took a team-friendly $30 million a year deal, he would still be a top 5 paid pass rusher. He would still be like 5th. Because he'd be making, if he made $30 million, he'd be making more than Brian Burns. The only players that'd be making more than him would be Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, Danielle Hunter, and Max Crosby. That's it. And those players are better than him. That's it. That's it. And if he took his team-friendly deal, $30 million, he'd still be in the top 5 at his position. Heck, even if he took $29 million, he'd be in the top 5. But there's no way he should get $40 million. There's no way he should get $46 million. I saw that. I was looking up his contract, saying somebody said 46 million. I'm like, what? From Micah Parsons? No way. No way I'd pay him $46 million. That's crazy. Oh, I agree, JB. I talked about it, man. I think that this is all a marketing thing. I talked about it at the beginning of the live. This is all a marketing thing. Jerry Jones is going to pay Mike. I agree. And he's going to overpay him, and Micah's not going to show up. Micah's just doing this so he can get more money. And Jerry knows. I believe Jerry and Micah already have talked this out. I believe it, I believe it. I honestly am still not convinced that, Micah really wants to be traded out of Dallas. I didn't like the stuff he said by any means. And I'm more than open to trading Micah. I've already talked about that. But I agree. I think Jerry is definitely going to overpay him, man. There's no way The Cowboys have already come out and said they have no freaking plans of trading him, and they really should. They have his rights for the next like 3 years. That's what we were talking about. Hoodlum, rushing the passer, Micah is elite, but overall player position, he's not top 10 in my opinion. I agree. If you factor in it, because he's a top 7 pass rusher, right? If you look at him, he's been around 7th in the NFL since his first year. His first year, he was 6th. Second year, he was 7th. Third year, he was 7th. This last year, he was like tied for 5th in the NFL in pass rush, right? So he is a top 7 pass rusher, but he's not a top 5. I do think he's an elite pass rusher. I agree. But he's not an elite run stuffer. Yeah, when you factor in his run defense, when he's quitting on plays and all that sort of stuff, he's not good. He's not, yeah, I'd agree with you. I like Trey Henderson better as a pass rusher, but he gets double teamed, so it's not. There's no excuses for Micah. Yeah, and Micah does disappear in certain games. Didn't he disappear in that Green Bay playoff loss when he had to go up against Zach Tom, the offensive tackle? Because I've noticed that Micah does tend. We talk a lot about Dak Prescott being overpaid and padding his stats. Micah likes to pad his stats too, man. When he goes up against lesser opposition, offensive tackles, he'll put up a lot of sacks, but when he has to go up against like some of the better offensive tackles that are as fast as him, he struggles a bit. Like with Zach Tom, he struggles a bit, man. Struggles a bit. So, and I've noticed that over the last 2 years. I don't think he did it as much early in his career, but last couple years he's totally done that. So, as much as we go after Dak for padding his stats, Micah kind of does the same stuff. Now, I do think he's Micah Parsons is closer to being an elite player at his position than I feel like Dak Prescott is at his position, But at the same time, he's not, He's not elite overall defensive end because he's not really a defensive end. He's like an offensive, he's an outside linebacker. Yeah, he did. Oh, dude, he absolutely disappeared against the Saints. Everybody did, man. The whole team sucked against the Saints. But, yeah, he definitely disappears against the Saints. The only player the Dallas Cowboys I feel like have paid big money to so far, and I'm going to knock on wood because, he only just finished his first year, is CeeDee Lamb. Jerry Jones has every right to be hesitant when paying Micah, man. You know how many – Jerry Jones – he regrets paying Dak. He's not going to go out there and admit it. He's going to lie and stuff for the media, but he regrets paying Dak. You can tell. He wouldn't have gone out there and said what he said when he was at his press conference if he didn't regret paying Dak. I think he does regret paying Dak. Or if he doesn't, he's very soon going to realize that he made a mistake by paying Dak Prescott all that money. He doesn't want to make the same mistake exactly, JB. That's why he called Dak out. He regrets it, 100%. He regrets it. He's like, man, I made a mistake paying this guy. That was stupid to go out there and pay him. And I agree. But to be fair, though, Jerry Jones was one of the very few people I talked about it. He wasn't exactly sold on paying Dak. Stephen Jones and Mike McCarthy and Will McClay, who everybody loves to praise, are the ones that really pushed him to pay Dak from reports. Because Jerry wasn't 100% convinced. He still did it, so he definitely deserves blame. But he wasn't 100% convinced. Stephen Jones and his sons, Stephen Jones and the rest of his sons and Will McClay are the ones that pushed him to do it. So, but Jerry, man, you got to put your foot. I don't think he's going to do it, but man, this is true. Just put your foot in the ground and don't pay Micah. At this point, if he's honestly started to cause more of a headache than he has helped the team. Get him out of Dallas, trade him. Change the culture. Change the culture. Yeah, man, it is facts. It's true. Just like Jerry Jones, from what it sounded like, had some interest in bringing in Dion. They obviously never did, but again, you know that Dak Prescott and Stephen Jones are the ones that wanted Brian Schottenheimer, right? I made a video about it. Y'all remember back when I made a video about how Jerry Jones was interested in Dion, but, Stephen Jones was really pushing him to go after Brian Schottenheimer for Dak. Because I made a video about it. And I'm telling you, man, Stephen Jones is behind a lot of these contracts. Jerry Jones has the ultimate decision, so he's just as guilty. But Stephen Jones, man, that's what's scary, is because Stephen Jones is going to take over this team real soon, and he's not good at handling those contracts. Dak and Micah have crippled the team. I can't say Micah's crippled the team as of yet, JB, because he hasn't been paid yet. But, yeah, once he gets paid that money and he starts going out there and not showing up, then, yeah, absolutely. But Dak is definitely crippled. Dude, his contract has definitely crippled the team. On a whole nother level, crippled the team, man. And it's just, Jerry Jones has got to be smart with his money, man, because you're already paying an average quarterback 30% of the salary cap. Do you guys realize that Dak Prescott's contract by itself takes up 30% of the salary cap? If you're taking up 30% of the salary cap as a player, you better be good enough to mask a lot of holes, because that's a lot of money that you can't allocate to other areas of your team. 30% is crazy, man. I'm not even joking. It's like 30% or something like that. Yeah, dude. Diggs is definitely a part of it, man. And the Cowboys just need to change. They need to start changing the culture, man. I'm rooting for Brian Schottenheimer. I do hope Brian Schottenheimer succeeds. But if he doesn't, you can blame Dak Prescott for it, because Dak Prescott is the one that wanted him. Just like if he succeeds, then Dak Prescott, deserves some credit, because he's the one that brought him in. But the whole reason Brian Schottenheimer is here is because Dak Prescott wants him. So just know that. Anytime during the season, if we start losing or whatever, people are complaining about Brian Schottenheimer, just remember that your beloved quarterback is the one that wanted him here. So I'm just saying, I'm not hoping for bad for Shotty. I hope Shotty does well. I actually have grown to like him a little bit. But he's got to prove it to me. He's got to go out there and win games. I'll say this is going to sound crazy. If the Dallas Cowboys made it to the NFC Championship game with Brian Schottenheimer and Dak, I would actually say that Shotty should get Coach of the Year, because that would be a miracle for Brian Schottenheimer to make it to the NFC Championship game with Dak Prescott as a starter. I'm serious. The odds are, the Cowboys actually have a better odds of just, moving on from Dak right now. Let's just do a hypothetical. The Cowboys, if we were to move on from Dak Prescott right now and just say we're done with Dak and we just got Joe Milton, right? We just kept Joe Milton. He started the season. Do you know the Cowboys would have a better chance of, making it to a Super Bowl or NFC Championship game with Joe Milton than we would with Dak? Why is that? Because a quarterback that hasn't been to a championship game or a Super Bowl in their first 8 years with the team that drafted them has never gone on to do it in their entire careers. It's never happened in the history of the NFL. And Dak's already passed that 8-year mark. His 8-year mark was 2023, and he lost. So he's not going to make it with the Dallas Cowboys. And not only that, but the fact that he chokes in the big games and plays bad and turns the ball over just tells me there's no... If Shotty made it to the NFC Championship game with Dak Prescott as his starter, he deserves Coach of the Year. I'm being serious. I don't think that's going to happen at all, by the way. I don't think that in a million years that's going to happen. But if he did, he deserves Coach of the Year. Because there's no way... it'd be a miracle for him to make it to the championship game with Dak as his quarterback. I'm being serious. I'm being serious. And yeah, JB, Dak absolutely endorsed Shotty. He's the whole reason why we got him here, along with Stephen Jones. I agree, man. I mean, JB, have you been seeing Joe Milton? I posted on my channel from the Cowboys fan club. He puts up some good stuff, by the way. I like his channel. Just with players out there playing and stuff, right? He put out a video of Joe Milton yesterday. Man, Joe Milton was making some good passes. He's getting better. Joe Milton's really getting a lot better. So I can't wait to see him play, man. I'm excited to see Joe Milton play next week. I'm excited to see him play next week against the, was it the Rams is right? That's who we play, the Rams? Yeah, we play the Rams. I'm excited to see him play next week against the Rams because I've been hearing some good things about Joe Milton. I really have. So, and not only just hearing good things, but seeing good things. You know, me and a lot of other Cowboys fans, I'm sure, JB, you feel the same way as I do, and it sounds like you do. Yeah, dude, absolutely. Dude, Joe Milton's looked good out there. I think he's looked really good. And you know what's crazy? You know how everybody said we were crazy for wanting Trey Lance to play? Did you guys see Trey Lance play in that Hall of Fame game? He looked good out there, man. And we saw it at the last game of the year. I wish the Cowboys would have kept Trey Lance. I told y'all Trey Lance wasn't a bad quarterback. Trey Lance didn't succeed in Dallas because of the system. And I told you, Mike McCarthy did not design his offense around Trey Lance. That's why he didn't succeed in Dallas. Had nothing to do with the talent. I saw it in the last game against Washington. It was there. It was there. He played a solid game against Washington. Exactly. And Joe Milton, but I will say this. Joe Milton does look I actually will agree with the fanboys on this. Joe Milton actually does look a lot better in camp this year than what Trey Lance did last year. I will agree with them on that. But then again, Trey Lance also was playing with third stringers, so Joe Milton did have a lot more of an opportunity. I will say that. But yeah, man, Joe Milton's looked good out there in practice. And I'm telling you, man, if he continues to get better, especially if he gets this deep ball down, oh my goodness, Dak, and with that mobility and that confidence he has, Dak's not going to have, if Dak gets hurt for whatever reason, he's not going to get his job back. I'm just telling you. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if you're talking about Joe Milton or Trey Lance, but Trey Lance, I agree. Trey Lance just needs an opportunity, and I think he did really well at the Chargers the other night. I was happy for him. I really was, because I like Trey Lance, man. And I think Joe Milton just needs an opportunity too, you know. And there's a reason why he came here, man. Like, you know, he got traded here and stuff. Yeah, dude, Lance, I agree. I agree, dude. Lance just needs... Now, he's not going to get a chance in, whatchamacallit, Los Angeles, you know. But if there's anybody that can fix a quarterback, it's Jim Harbaugh. Now, I'm from the state of Utah, right? So, and I went to... My alma mater is the University of Utah, right? That's where I graduated and stuff. We had a quarterback named Alex Smith. You guys might have heard of him. He was a legend out here. Best quarterback in the University of Utah history. His career, he was basically a bust in San Francisco until Jim Harbaugh came along. And after Jim Harbaugh came along and saved his career, he got traded to, or not traded, he went to Kansas City and went on to save his career with Andy Reid. So if anybody can fix a quarterback, it's Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh absolutely can fix a quarterback. And we've already seen it with Trey Lance because Jim Harbaugh loves to run the football. Right? He loves to run the football. He doesn't like to pass the ball like Mike McCarthy does. So, and you also look, even though a lot of people have feelings about it, Colin Kaepernick was very similar to Trey Lance when it came to the type of quarterback he was athletically. Very similar. And he succeeded in San Francisco with Jim Harbaugh. So anybody that knows a thing or two about Trey Lance's skill set, it's Jim Harbaugh. So I'm happy for Trey Lance, man. We should have kept him. We should have absolutely kept him. I liked him a lot. I think he absolutely could have beat out Dak with the right opportunity. But we just weren't patient enough. We weren't willing to wait. You know. He did actually, and actually, I think Trey Lance played pretty good in the preseason last year outside of that last game he played against, ironically, the Chargers. He was good in the preseason outside of the very last game. So... But yeah, man, I'm excited for Joe Milton. Just wanted to come on here real quick, chat with you guys. This has been a really fun live stream, man. I can't believe it's been almost over an hour already. Just talking about different Cowboys thing. The topic has been kind of all over the place. I've been jumping, you know. But I don't get to do these live streams a whole lot. I've been doing it more recently, but, you know, it's been fun. Thanks for everybody that tuned in, man. This is a fun chat. Very engaged. I love it. I love it, man. It's awesome. So, you know, my final thoughts before I close this out is this. I'm gonna say this, and I agree with you, Hoodlum. They are soft. Cowboys need to change the culture, and if it starts with trading Micah Parsons because he's asking for too much money and changing the precedent, so be it. That's all I got to say about that. Go Cowboys. I'm excited. Football is back. We get to see our guy, Bazooka Joe the Rocket Man Milton, start next week. I'm assuming. I hope he starts. I don't want to see Will Grier. I really don't want to see Will Grier at all in the preseason. I just want to see Joe Milton. But excited to see him play. Go Cowboys. Catch y'all later.